Hey guys, just a quick word from me, Skippi, unscripted. I do apologize for the lateness of this video. It's had some things come up, mental health issues and stuff like that. So, in time too, I just finished up college and whatnot. So, I do apologize again for the lateness of this video, and let's get this review underway. This segment of the video has been written before filming anything, and if my memory serves me correctly, I'm going to have issues playing this campaign. Let's see how my older age and time have treated this game that many call the best title of Call of Duty. Here is my review for Modern Warfare 2. Let's get into it. When I think about games that put franchises on the map for the most popular, games like Halo Combat Evolved, Gears of War 2, and Fallout 3, these games were huge successes that turned many heads and paved the way to future success for their franchises. And Modern Warfare 2 is one of those games that did exactly that.
Houston, this is ISS Control. Any word on...
This campaign was one of the modes that excited players like never before. From over-the-top flights over nothingness to non-stop shootouts, this game takes things up about 20 levels compared to COD 4 and World at War. It seems like 2009 was the year for big games like Uncharted 2, Halo 3 ODST, Batman Arkham Asylum, Left 4 Dead 2, Borderlands, and Assassin's Creed 2. But did Modern Warfare 2's campaign really deserve to be held up like some of the other titles? The campaign begins in possibly the worst way possible, a literal tutorial level like Call of Duty 2. But it does set up the next mission, because that is where Carl Manfred with a bushy mustache sees the man we are playing as, Private Allen, do his thing on the live firing range. The next mission, after shooting a school up full of terrorists and getting through a town, we rally with Carl Manfred with a bushy mustache, and he gives us a new assignment. From there, we take control of Roach, a Task Force 141 operative working with some smoker named McTavish. And this level is where we see everything that could happen in action movie happen. We sneak onto a base, steal a hard drive, have a literal snowmobile chase while using one hand to both shoot and reload an automatic pistol. Then we go down a massive hill, avoiding trees, only to make a jump that would make Master Chief from Halo 3 proud. Then we exfil and leave. The next mission is actually where things go even further off the rails for an action movie, and this is also the mission that once again brought up violence in video games conversation. I'm going to hold my peace on this, and you can say whatever you like about violence in video games. I'm just going to stay out of it for now. But in this level, we are given the ability to skip, which Infinity Ward must have realized that this level would be controversial because of this skip option. If you don't skip, then you, as an undercover Private Allen, shoot up an airport terminal and make your escape in Russia. Well, everyone but you, because Makarov, the man you are sent to basically spy on, sees through this mirage and pops a cap into your chest. From this point, we follow both Task Force 141 and the Rangers, which the Rangers are based on the real-world Rangers in the U.S. military. Perhaps not the same soldiers, but the Rangers nonetheless. Task Force 141 focuses on tracking down Makarov in a variety of locations, while the Rangers stay at home and fight off invading Russian forces, because after the terminal shootout and the body of the American named Allen was found, Russia blamed the United States for the shooting. From the perspective of Task Force 141, we take control of a drone that fires Predator missiles. We also run through a tight city as terrorists chase us, and we jump onto a rope ladder hanging from a helicopter. We rescue Captain Price right before escaping a castle that is being bombarded by the U.S. Navy. We even finally learn the name of the smoker from the beginning of the game, which is the main protagonist from COD 4. Besides all the cool tools and set pieces, the characters and the story are interesting. We find that Makarov had been interacting with people from around the globe and has been keeping Captain Price locked up. While we don't find out the full extent of which Makarov has his influence, we know it runs deep. When we got into the life of Private Ramirez of the Rangers, we fight off just Russians on the Eastern Front. We fight through the suburbs and then visit D.C., where we go through the White House and fly over some monuments in the air. In Ramirez and the Rangers' efforts to take back D.C., they literally stop the U.S. Air Force from bombing the White House after he signals that they have regained control over it. After all of this, we leave behind the Rangers and solely focus on Task Force 141, where the campaign gains much of its popularity. 141 attacks a safe house that belongs to Makarov to grab him. However, this turns into a partial bust because he isn't there, but there are some computers that they could copy information from so that they could take it with them and bring it to General Carl Manfred with a bushy mustache. They defend the transfer and then make a break for the exfil where they meet Carl Manfred with a bushy mustache himself, only to have you, as Roach, in the coolest man ever, Ghost, get shot down by him, then burned. This all in an attempt to cover up for the fact that Carl Manfred with a bushy mustache knew about the attack on the airport so that the US and Russia could go to war and he comes out as a hero. So, Task Force 141 diverts their energy now from Makarov to surviving Carl Manfred with a bushy mustache and killing him, which they wind up doing after driving onto a moving airplane, blowing up a shadow company hideout, boating through a storm of bullets, falling off a waterfall, and going hand to hand with the man himself, General Carl Manfred with a bushy mustache from Detroit Become Human. Soap, in critical condition, gets picked up by Captain Price and put into a helicopter piloted by Nikolai. Then the credits roll, and following that is the museum. So, for a campaign that seems extremely popular with gamers, I had other feelings about this. Yes, I think that a lot of the set pieces were really cool, but some events just seemed beyond belief, such as the massive gap that we jumped over, or even the literal army that was chasing Soap and Captain Price down as they were following General Shepard. But what was worse for me was how some levels, but mainly Takedown, felt unplay-tested. Levels like Takedown felt like you couldn't get a breather because you had some guy that had their scope set on you around every corner while someone else with an RPG is ready to blow you away when you get to cover. For these reasons, the campaign loses a good chunk of enjoyment with me. Of course, I find a lot of good with it. Some of the over-the-top action sequences were really cool and still believable to an extent, like driving onto a moving plane or running through streets, homes, and rooftops to jump onto a ladder that is connected to a helicopter. Some of these were plain iconic to me, and a lot of fun. Sneaking onto the oil rig and rescuing prisoners was a lot of fun too, but what really made this campaign was the characters. We got to rescue Captain Price, and he got his pistol back from Soap that he gave to him in the previous installment of the Modern Warfare trilogy. It's also nice to hear his voice. Then we had the screams of Sergeant Folly, who really liked shouting, "Ramirez!" Then there is Soap, who basically is the leader of the majority of the game. Shepard was a compelling antagonist because he just wanted to look like a hero in the time of war, even if it meant becoming a villain. Lastly, the best character, in my opinion, is Ghost. Though he was only in one game, he quickly became a fan favorite in everyone's heart, except for Shepard's, for obvious reasons. Overall, I found the campaign enjoyable, but not COD's, or more accurately, Infinity Ward's best work. You know, I didn't have an Xbox of my own until I was 18. And before that, when I either went to a friend's house or borrowed an Xbox, I didn't play much of any multiplayer when I played any Call of Duty. I relegated most of my playtime to the campaign and zombies. So I didn't grow up with the F-bomb this and the F-bomb that screaming into my ears over the headset. Even when I had my own PC as a teen, I didn't play Call of Duty on it. I just mostly played the original Star Wars Battlefront 2, which I have a review on this channel of if you want to take a look at that. As a guy who only found a love for multiplayer in 2019, I wasn't sure what to expect for this game, especially since I'm playing with a mouse and keyboard. If I'm being honest, I'm not good with a mouse and keyboard. I mostly play with the controller because I feel like I'm in control more. Looking at the playlists, I don't have many options, especially considering my rank. Starting off with this review on Steam, I was at level 4, and about half of the playlists were locked away. Of the rest that I had access to, less than half had players. It said that there was about 1,000 people online, but adding up all the players in the playlist together, I don't get anywhere near that number, so I'm guessing it includes single player and co-op, but I can't say for sure. When I did play in a game, I never felt compelled to customize my loadouts beyond the primary weapon. Looking at the weapon challenges, they seemed straightforward, but could be frustrating to complete to get specific attachments that you might want. I like the newer games in the franchise better in this regard because I just need to use the weapon to get attachments rather than do specific things to get an attachment. Actually, when it comes to the customizations in this game, there is a lot I like better about the newer titles than this. I'm not saying that this is a bad game, but I am saying that I just like the newer custom classes better because I feel like I have more options and control over how I equip myself. I don't have to ask myself if I want a scope or a grip attached because in the newer ones, you can add more than one attachment. In Modern Warfare 2, you have to pick one attachment, that is, if you even have one attachment. As for maps, I found them a little bland. Sure, the layout's pretty cool, but I feel like everything is washed out of color. It fits the tone, but after a while, every snow map looks the same. During my playtime, though, it seemed like a quarter of the matches I made, which was solely on Team Deathmatch, they seemed like it was on Terminal. Most of the maps I played were the first time for me, and after a little bit, I started to understand their layout despite them being so new. One neat feature that has been lost to time is the vote to skip button. New games just don't have this. And sometimes there is that one map that everyone hates that you just want to skip but cannot. Gunplay feels great for a PC port. Normally, I don't like the keyboard and mouse inputs for Call of Duty PC play, but this actually feels pretty good. While I'm not playing like a pro, I can actually hit and kill somebody, and avoid the bottom of the scoreboard on most matches. In newer COD titles, I can stay off the bottom of the scoreboard, but in these older titles where the players who still play them are mainly those who haven't moved on to newer games, I typically end up competing for the bottom of the board. One thing I was not used to in this game was death streaks. I know how kill streaks work, and I wasn't good enough to get anything other than a UAV. But death streaks are something new to me, and using Copycat was something cool to use, because I'm a low-level player, and I don't have access to all the guns that long-time players have. So using what they use to kill me at times felt like a little help or a breath of fresh air. The biggest complaint I have about weapons, though, is the shotguns. After hearing so much about how shotguns are overpowered, I literally see nobody using them, and when I tried to use them, I couldn't get any kills. Are they just nerfed or what? Nobody was going around using them except for me in all my playtime that I can remember. For my time playing on PC, I actually had a fun time. The only downside is that there are no bots. And even if you had bots in a private match, you still had to grind for all of your attachments, weapons, streaks, and whatnot. I know on Xbox you could play local with 4-player split screen, So if you have an Xbox 360 copy, I'd totally get some friends together and play locally while grinding out all the unlockables. I did that with some friends before, and we had a blast. This experience overall was pretty good, but not a fantastic one. I guess Infinity Ward thought that they needed to compete with Treyarch's Zombies mode, so they added in Spec Ops experience. But was Spec Ops as good or better than the Zombies from last year as a side mode, or is it just tacked on? For that, I'll be joining a real-world friend of mine to answer those questions. Jumping into the menu, we have some locked content that needs to be unlocked for all players in the party just to play them. To unlock these extra levels, you need to play what is unlocked and earn stars. This is done by either performing better on certain levels or setting the difficulty higher. I'm not sure how I feel about this because some of the content could be locked away from players who are just not good enough to get stars to unlock everything. On top of that, some levels require 2 players, and if you can't get an AI player to help you out, and you don't have any friends, well, there's no hope for you. Anyways, let's jump into the meat and potatoes of Spec Ops. Spec Ops levels range from exciting to downright boring. Now, the boring levels are almost non-existent, but they're there. These missions will take you down the silent or loud paths. They'll have you use a variety of weapons while giving you different objectives. Some of my favorite levels were the 2-player centered missions rather than playing the solo missions on co-op. It was fun racing through the snow on snowmobiles and trying to fight through the showers of the gulag. Personally, I enjoy the outdoor missions more so than the indoor ones because of how much room I have to move around than I would with indoor settings. As for stars, I never felt like I needed to grind on harder difficulties except for when my friend asked to grind and when I was still locked away from content. If I felt more skilled with my PC COD skills, I might try, but I just can't see why I should unless I'm some kind of achievement hunter, which I vaguely am, but not that much of one. Spec Ops felt like a fun addition, and I'm glad it's here, but it feels like it's not that fleshed out. All it is just a set of short levels that don't add to the story, but instead, it's just a few challenges. There isn't really any reason to play it as much as I think the devs intended. This isn't bad, but it also is lacking to me.
Progress, keep it up.
Modern Warfare 2 certainly put Call of Duty on many gamers' radars, but Call of Duty was already on my radar after Finest Hour. But this title wasn't as great as what I feel people say it is. Please don't shoot me, but I would put Ghosts on a higher tier than Modern Warfare 2. Don't get me wrong, I like this game, but some elements of the campaign did not sit well with me from a small select sequences in some areas that just felt unplay tested. The multiplayer part surprised me because I actually enjoyed my time with it. Lastly, the Spec Ops was a lackluster, not bad, but not that good. Overall, I give this game a 6.5 out of 10. A game that didn't resonate with me as much as it did with others. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you chose to listen to my rambling for a little while on Modern Warfare 2. If you agree or disagree, I'd like to hear from you down below. Or if you have any thoughts, I love to hear from y'all. Leave a like and consider becoming a member. I live cheap and so is a membership. I hope that everyone has a blessed day. God bless y'all. Goodbye. P.S. My dad says hi.